Would you like to become a fascinating personality, break free from plateaus, and gain power over your mental resources and your full potential? You came to the right place. Welcome to a magical journey to yourself. This show is made in Germany. If you like the show, please subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or puremindmagic.club. Welcome to Season 1, Shaping Your Reality. And here is your host, international magician, speaker, and book author, Victoria Mavis.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in today to the Pure Mind Magic and the Magic Advent Calendar of this podcast. It is December 7th, and this is the only Advent calendar that has no calories but only makes you smarter. Today on the show is Robert Zink. He calls himself the Miracle Mentor and is the co-founder of the Law of Attraction Solutions. He's all about empowering you and giving you some secrets on how you can manifest anything you desire in your life. He does that with great example and has also his own podcast and a ton of YouTube videos that you can check out on tapping and different other strategies. Before we start the interview, as you know, there is the gift tip of today. And for today, I picked a special world map. You will find, as you know, the link to get this as a gift directly in the show notes below this episode. So what can you do with this world map? So first, it is really a nice decoration over your desk or maybe in your living room or wherever you would like to hang it up. And then, you know, there's this cool part where you get these pins in different colors. So you can start to mark all countries and cities where you have been already, and also everyone where you would like to go. So I think this is a great gift, very creative to give it to someone or to, have it for yourself. Because I started doing this with my podcast guests that come from all around the world. So I mark where they are from, and I collected quite some in the meantime. So check out this world map and maybe you come up with another creative idea. Maybe this is even something for your kids so they can learn the earth and where every country is. And it's very visual, and maybe you can come up with an idea what they can pin there, maybe where they would like to go with you or your family. So check that out. And now we dive deep into the interview with my expert guest, Robert Zink. Hi, Robert. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. How are you doing?
Also very good. I'm so happy to have you as a miracle mentor on Pure Mind Magic. Thanks for coming to the show.
Well, thanks for having us.
Perfect. So, Robert, I have so many questions because you are really an expert in the law of attraction and in manifestations. But maybe you can give us a quick story about you.
Well, you know, I'm just an ordinary guy who's learned a few cool things along the way. I started out when I was young, being mentored into the Golden Dawn tradition, and went through the various initiations until I became an adept in that particular tradition. And from there, also worked as the Imperator and eventually the chief adept of the esoteric order of the Golden Dawn. So we have that background, which gives me my mystical background. Also have a background in business and in marketing. So I've owned 3 different advertising agencies over the years, and been very successful with that. So that kind of gave me my business and marketing background. And so by combining the 2 of them, along with my study in neurolinguistics, Reiki, and hypnosis, along with all of those being combined, we decided to, in 2007, start providing miracle mentoring and alchemy life coaching. So the miracle mentoring part is, we call it miracle mentoring because when things happen that you don't expect or you think are impossible, it seems like a miracle. And the alchemy life coaching part is because the person is going through alchemical changes in order to manifest the kind of goals and desires and intentions that they have. So we started that in 2007. By 2009, we had the podcast up online there. I still have some of the original ones up online on, I don't think it's on iTunes, but I believe it is on Blog Talk Radio. They were like hour-long podcasts, and they were pretty amateurish at the time, but they were what we were doing. That's how we got our start. And by 2010, I had decided to close down my advertising agency, AdStar Advertising, and or at least reduce it in size and focus full-time on mentoring and empowering other people's lives. It's just so rewarding that I couldn't pass it up. So that kind of brings us to where we're at today. About a year ago, a guy started asking if he could duplicate our podcasts, which are on iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, Stitcher, and he said, "Can I duplicate them on YouTube?" And I said, "Well, sure, go right ahead." So I signed a thing, gave him permission, and I started checking out some of our podcasts on YouTube. And I mean, they were getting massive amounts of hits. And I go, whoa. So one of my advisors suggested that we withdraw our offer to him and send him a formal letter saying that at this point, you can no longer use our podcasts. And we started duplicating them on YouTube. And then we started into the video stuff. And I bought a video camera for $4,000, which was the wrong kind of camera, but I thought it was the right kind. Anyway, so now we have a studio in our home. We have an audio studio. We have a video studio. And so we're cranking out YouTube videos and podcasts on a regular basis.
Fantastic. I think that was a really good overview, Robert. And I, as a professional magician, really like when someone is connecting the business world and the spiritual world and bringing things about that are close to real magic. And this is what I'm trying to inspire the listeners to really create magic in their lives. And Robert, you mentioned your podcast already. So I listened to many of your episodes, and you had one episode that kind of stood out for me because you were talking about the invisible world. And as magicians, we make the invisible visible. And I think we all do when our thoughts become a reality. And you were talking about this nice story with Columbus and the ships and people who couldn't see the ships. Maybe you can tell us more about that story because I think it is so inspirational.
So the writings go that, and I've been to this location. It's a nice little harbor in the Caribbean. I forget the name of the island, but so Columbus brought his ship into that harbor. They brought the ships in, and they began, exploring and so forth. So the natives, you have to understand, had never seen anything like the kind of ships that Columbus sailed. It was totally foreign to them. And so what happened is they would walk right by those ships as if they didn't exist because they just didn't register in their mind. It was the shaman who were more open mentally and open to the invisible worlds and the higher planes of consciousness that could see these ships. And then, of course, naturally, the same kind of experience took place to a lesser degree when they were introduced to the Italians and Spaniards, because these people had never seen anybody that was Caucasian before, you know. So again, when we're introduced to something that we have no previous or prior experience to, sometimes it can be right in front of us and we don't see it. It's just not there to us. And I use an example. The example is, let's say you're sitting at your kitchen table and you're saying, well, we need $100 to pay our bills. And you look around the house and you can't find $100. And you go, well, there's just no money here. And there's no money coming in. You check your mailbox, no money coming in. You call your boss for an advance, no money coming in. And so in your mind, there's no money. So finally you say, well, I'm going to go to the grocery store and get something for dinner. And on the way, you find a $100 bill that has been sitting there. It's kind of dirty. It's been sitting there for maybe a day or so, but you didn't see it. You walked right by it before. You never noticed it. But now you're attuned to it. And so you saw the $100 bill sitting there kind of caught in a rock. And there it's been for maybe a week or two. Prior to that, you didn't see it. When you needed the money, you saw it because you were attuned to it. And so that's how it is. And that's why magicians and shamans, priests, spiritual people oftentimes can see things that other people can't see, because they're open to a wider spectrum. They're looking in the invisible world rather than the visible world, and they see it there first.
That is fantastic how you put that, Robert. And I think it is because we only see what we know and we see what we kind of expect, and you know, our brain thinks in patterns. So this is why most people stay in the same patterns over and over, and their life keeps repeating in the same circle. So a lot of people have this kind of desire or wish on a conscious basis, but then they have this subconscious blockages that prevents them from reaching their goals. So you, as the miracle mentor, what would be your best tips to deal with blockages?
Well, there's a number of tips that we use, but I think I want to go further into that invisible world just for a second, and that'll help you with the blockages.
Yes, go ahead.
Think about this for a moment. One of the things we say before every podcast now is that today we are soaring like a beautiful eagle. And we say that before every podcast. So for a moment, I want your listeners, without opening their mouth, to say the word soaring like an eagle. Just say it to yourself. Soaring like an eagle. Now think about it for a moment. You just heard your own voice. And your voice just spoke. But you never moved your mouth. You heard it with your ears. But it was never outside you. Now, if I tell you to visualize, to see in your mind an eagle flying high in the sky with his wings stretched as wide as you can imagine, you can see that eagle. And there it is. It's flying, and yet you don't see it with your human eyes. So what are you seeing it with? Scientists can't conclude where we exist at. There is no location in the brain for the human mind. As a matter of fact, there's been some recent research done at the collegiate level to indicate that the mind now extends beyond the human body. So where are you? You're certainly not limited to the casing that houses you and your brain that you use. You exist far beyond that. You just proved it to yourself. You spoke without moving your mouth. You don't need a mouth to speak. You can hear, but you don't need ears to hear. You can see, but you don't need eyes to see. You have all of this ability because you are an eternal being that has no beginning and has no end. As you begin to connect with that part of who you are, the blockages of the physical body, which are both mental and physical, those blockages begin to give way to the thoughts of the true mind or the soul. And that's how you deal with blocks. You deal with blocks from the inside out.
That's a really good approach, and that makes really sense. So when we can release the blocks we have in the mind, or sometimes also in the body, when the energy is just not flowing, then the next thing is, when we know what we want, what would you say is the best way to make the law of attraction really work, that it is like a magical way so that things find you? I mean, there's the saying, whatever you seek is seeking you. But a lot of people are in this kind of male energy where they push and push, and they think they have to be more productive and do even more and get all the results. But then there is also this kind of feminine energy where it's more in the flow, more intuitive, and where people and things and opportunities are coming to you. So what would be the best strategy to work with the law of attraction?
Well, the first thing is to understand that if anything you could ask for is already present because you are an eternal being. It's not that you want to become an eternal being. You are an eternal being. And everything is already present. So once you have that realization, then the whole notion of manifesting really comes down to some of the teachings of the ancient teachers in Hermetics, the teachings of Tahuti or Hermes. As above, so below. What is as above? It also, in some of the interpretations, says, as within, so without. What you create within must manifest outside. It's not hoping to manifest. So now, if you're going to take actions, those are positive, outwardly signs, but some actions can require, some of the best actions can be to do nothing. Some actions would require you to make phone calls. But don't believe that it is by your actions alone or your outward efforts that you're manifesting. You're manifesting by that inward connection, by that inward picture. And so I remember many years ago, I was working with a gentleman who was at the highest degree in a number of different studies, a number of different magical traditions. And he started handing me some books, and he started naming some people that he thought were great magicians. And not one of them had ever put on a robe or held a wand in their hand. But they did know how to get inside themselves and find out what they truly desired, what they truly wanted to create, who they truly were. And Not one of them had the need to prove themselves to anyone. They were willing to accept the criticism because that was from the outside world and they were creating from the inside out. I can give you one right off the top of my head, is Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. They gave him less than a 30% chance of success, but he didn't listen to that. And then when they told him he was spending too much money, that he should slow down a little bit because he was going to drive the company into bankruptcy, he didn't listen. Now, he maybe has never held a wand in his hand, but he's certainly done some remarkable manifestation magic.
Yes, definitely. That is a really good example.
So I think that power exists I know that power exists within all of us. We are co-creators of our reality. What you truly desire is already present. It's not that you need to bring it to you. It's already here.
Yeah, I think that needs a kind of mind shift to think in this direction. So what would you say? Because I think this is something a lot of people deal with, how to attract money. And especially when you are in a situation where you really need money, then it's kind of seems to be really tough to get the money and attract the money, and you have to kind of trick yourself to feel abundance but when there is no abundance, and also this concept of acting as if. So Robert, I know on your YouTube channel there are some strategies with tapping and also some manifestation rituals to get there, but what could you give the listeners maybe as practical tips when they really want to attract money and attract money fast?
Well, so when I went through my transformation, one of many, but I went through a serious transformation and a breakup of my family and a breakup of my business and a breakup of just about everything. And then on top of it, an economy that totally declined and an inward belief that had given up hope and all of that. I found myself eventually living in a hotel room, a weekly hotel room. And I knew what I needed to do, but to tell myself that I was abundant when I was $50 short of being out on the street was pretty rough. Pretty tough to tell yourself that you're flowing in money. But it's not improbable and it's not impossible to tell yourself that your life has meaning. That, okay, you are here, but other people have been here too. And they've done incredible things. I remember the story that I read many years ago of Danny Thomas. Now, many of your listeners probably don't even know who Danny Thomas is, but Danny Thomas was a comedian in the 40s and 50s who was struggling. He had a wife, he had a kid, living on top of a small nightclub where there was drinking and all this stuff going on down below. And he went down twice a night and did a comedy routine. And Christmas Eve came and he couldn't afford a tree. He couldn't afford a present for his little daughter. And he broke down and started crying. And he went to the bathroom. He locked the bathroom door. And he began crying. And he began praying to a Catholic saint called St. Jude. Now, who the saint is, by the way, is not important. We don't all need to start praying to St. Jude. The point is he got in touch with his soul. He got in touch with the eternal part of who he is. And at that moment, he said, I will build you a shrine. I will do anything. He reached the point where he was willing to change, willing to put skin in the game and do just about anything. I will do just about anything. And I will build you a shrine, St. Jude, if you will help me. Within a week, his career took off, and within a year, he had money flowing in. He was working in Las Vegas. He had a television show that had gone national, and so forth. He became successful within a year. And he had a very, very successful career that continued to flourish until he died. But his shrine wasn't a statue, wasn't a flower planted. He built a hospital. And today we know that hospital in the United States is St. Jude's Children's Hospital and Research Center. And they research children's cancer. They treat children from all over the United States, and they never charge a dime. They don't charge the parents. They don't charge anyone. That's his return. So what does that say? When I was living in the hotel room, almost on the streets, I remembered Danny Thomas and other people like him. And I said, I'm not going to get myself out of this. I'm not going to get the money I need, the help I need, the kind of resources I need, the people I need, by thinking the old ways. I've got to think from the inside out now. Everything's got to be guided from within. And it was within a week or two that somebody offered me a nice room at a good price. They even came and moved me. I was there for a while. Next thing you know, I got a place on my own. And then, of course, I met the woman of my dreams, and her and I started a life together, and got a very, very nice house with a swimming pool and 6 bedrooms, recording studio. I've got a beautiful little boy who's 1 year old. So, but it can't come from the outside in. It comes from the inside out.
That is such an inspirational story, Robert, and I really like that you have been through all that yourself, because this is where I think you can really mentor people, and you know what it feels like to be there and how to make the transition and transform yourself, as you said, from the inside out. So that is really beautiful. So Robert, when people would like to find out more about you, because we just have this short amount of time today, but when they want to know more about the tapping I mentioned and all that, where is it best to find more information, listen to your podcast, watch the YouTube videos? And when people want to go a step further and are interested in being mentored by you, how does that work?
Well, we get about 600 inquiries for mentoring every week.
Wow.
And so we are training some mentors. Fortunately, we have a wonderful person that will be mentoring a lot of our inquiries from Pakistan and India, that part of the world, because it's just such a drastic time difference for me. But so the best thing to do is visit our website at lawofattractionsolutions.com and send me an email, and always include contact information. And we do answer our emails. Sometimes we send people to different resources. We recommend books. Sometimes we provide a free 30-minute session to those we can reach. So there's no cost to talk, to find out if it works for you. I mean, if it fits within your needs. So yeah, we offer all of that. And we have some online resources that we think are very helpful as well.
That sounds good. And maybe a last quick magic tip. You also have a fantastic book on Amazon, and it has really 5-star reviews and 5-star reviews only. So that must be magical. And it's called The Law of Attraction Secrets, Success and Nothing Less Science. Can you give us a few words on that?
Well, this book, we took some of our juiciest suggestions that we have made in mentoring sessions that have been proven to be successful for people that we've mentored all over the world. And we combine them. So it's a resource book. What the nice thing about this book is it's not chapter 1 is a separate book by itself. Chapter 2 is a separate little mini book. Chapter 3 is a separate book. So each one is on a different topic. So you look at your situation and you say, I'm working to acquire a new job or a better career. And you go through the book, and you don't have to read everything. You just read the chapters that deal and relate to that. So it's kind of a nice resource book. And it has some really, I think, some good secrets there.
Secrets are always good for magicians. And I think, secrets is what can help you reach the next level in your life. So, Robert, thank you so much for being on Pure Mind Magic today. I think that was so much great wisdom you shared with us, so many mysteries and also really inspirational stories. I would love to have more time to talk to you, but maybe we can make it happen that I can bring you back to this podcast in another episode. But for today, thank you so much for everything and have a magical day.
You too. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening to today's show with my guest, Robert Zink. I will also put a link to his book in the show notes so you can grab it directly from there. And think of the gift tip of today, the world map, what you can also get from Amazon. And the link is below this episode. So tomorrow we reach already December 8th. And for tomorrow, I picked a guest that is really special, and we even met in person in Philadelphia this year at Podcast Movement. Her name is Sigrun, and she's the host of the Sigrun Show. She did something even crazier than me because she did 100 episodes in 100 days, not only 24 episodes in 24 days. And she's an incredible, successful business woman. She is doing masterminds all around the world. She's based in Iceland and also does a mastermind group there, especially for women. And she knows all the secrets in how to create a really successful online business and ramp that up to 6 figures or even more. So she has a ton of knowledge on how you can do that, and also has some freebies to offer to get you started in the field of online secrets and online marketing. So you will listen to this amazing interview tomorrow. Until then, create some magic.